Monday. That's right. It's been a weekend. We're getting ready to record. So hang tight. Join us here. And we got some new stuff to talk about. Listener questions. We're going to talk Adventures by Disney for Friday. Man, wouldn't that be nice to get out of the country? And you can even do Adventures by Disney here in the U.S. Go out to the mountains. Go to Disneyland. Get some VIP access. All right. So, yep. The Argus podcast just went live on Facebook. Yes, we did. Sorry, who's texting me? All right, let's do this. If you have questions, drop them in the live chat. We have some from the inbox. And let's go. Oh, and everybody who's over on the Discord server, hello. Thanks for joining us. I got to tell Pam about that because I didn't have a chance to get that in yet. So we'll talk about it here. Pam, you get surprised. I'm learning new tools. New
surprise! Mike is learning new stuff.
All weekend, I'm pulling my hair out because I'm not smart
enough.
But thank God we have smart listeners that I went to, like Dr. Kai, Dennis. So many people helped me that I had no clue what was going on. So
that's awesome.
And I was like, somebody help me, please. I hear about this and it looks cool, but I don't know how to do it. Story of my life.
Yeah.
All right. 17, 15.
You got to learn new stuff though to keep your brain.
Oh, yes.
And this is actually very cool. It's it's like a time suck though. It's so horrible. It's killed my productivity. It is. I mean, it's like worse than Twitter, but it's because it's new, I think. Like
probably
like a new shiny toy. Yeah. So all right, here we go. Okay, this thing's gotta stop beeping. Oh, it's you. Okay.
It's me in the stupid picture.
I like that Mike Bankhead calls me Leo Laporte wrong. Yeah,
Nice.
that's my hero. Yes, I'll have to post that picture of Leo.
Beth is correct. It is like group text, which makes me laugh because he hates group text.
Which I could ignore it. Like
I just did group text, so he's gonna love me.
Yeah, so don't respond. Okay.
No, I will.
1750. Okay. Welcome to episode 1752 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope this weekend is going well. The heat has returned here in the Midwest. It is smoking hot again. And you know what? It's the dog days of summer. So let's just embrace it, stay inside, except for early in the morning and late at night. And, take the podcast with you wherever you go. If you're washing the car, cutting the grass, we're right there in your ear. Both ears. We're in stereo. Actually, we're kind of in mono, but we're stereo if you want to. So anyway, we're going to be answering your listener questions, have the crew all assembled and getting ready to have a good time talking Disney. So joining us today, we have from touringplans.com and the Mouse for Less, and just returned from this past weekend down at Walt Disney World. We have Ricky. Ricky, what's up?
Hey, y'all. I had my first official Walt Disney World visit since all this happened, and it was so good to be back home. I will just say, you know what got me? Like, it wasn't the castle, which I thought that's what would get me. Like, I thought I'd be a big blubbering mess when I saw the castle. That's not what made me tear up, though. What made me tear up was we actually ended up coming in from the back way around by the Grand Floridian. And I saw the Grand Floridian and the monorail swooping through, and I was like, oh, man, that's what did it. I was like, something so simple. So simple. It's the monorail just swooping through.
I thought you were going to say you saw the NBA bubble. You saw the
yes. I saw that the place for the barbershop where they're getting their haircut. No, I did not.
Like, Brian needs a little buzz. He needs a half on the sides and back.
Oh, man, he needed a haircut. I would have gladly paid for him to be able to go to the NBA place. You know what? So
that's awesome. So we'll have to talk about that here briefly and get into that because actually the first question will be good for you because you've been to the place somebody's asking about, but we're definitely going to talk about that over the next week because everybody has different experiences and it's so fun to figure out because everything's so weird right now.
It is.
It's
different. Yes.
It is. And also joining us, we have the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel, Pam Forrester. Pam, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. It's I am getting ready actually to head down to Walt Disney World. I'll actually be leaving on Friday. We're staying there for an extended time. We're actually going to be working from there for a while.
Nice.
Well, you talked to the gardeners now, see, didn't you? Because he.
No, it just like I can always work from everywhere. So Steve can sort of come and go, but that's where I'm going to be stationed anyways. So looking forward to it, just to be someplace different. And we've had a number of guests who have contacted us doing the same thing, say my kids are doing from homeschool distance learning kind of thing, e-learning, whatever they call it. They call it something different at every school. Me and my spouse can work from anywhere. So guess what? We're going on a vacation that just is like, maybe you get to go someplace different for dinner each night. So that's not a bad thing.
Well, too, and it's the ultimate incentive to either get your work done if you're the grown up, or if you're get your school work done. Because, like, look, instead of going out and playing with your best friend that's next door, like, hey, get your work done. We'll go to the Magic Kingdom after school.
Right?
Incentives.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So lots of good stuff.
Yeah. That's gonna be great. I can't wait to hear about it. We actually have one in the can with Scott Gardner. He stayed at 4 different resorts, worked from there. So we have some tips coming up on a Monday show here in just a week or two. So be ready for that. And speaking of questions and comments and learning, we have a foodie question from Bob in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And he says, have either of you or any of you eaten at CityWorks Eatery and Poorhouse at Disney Springs? Now, I've lived in the Poorhouse, but I've never eaten at Poorhouse, and especially at Disney Springs. So he says, in particular, the brunch. The menu looks intriguing. Jumbo cinnamon rolls, you had me already. Beignets, totally in. Stuffed French toast, you're pulling me in, with Bailey's cream cheese and vanilla bean ice cream, etc. The meals themselves have some pretty hilarious menu names. The Dock of the Beignet, John Bon Jovi,
Nice,
Johnny Hash,
nice.
Shaka Khan, just to name a few. I hear good things about other brunch places, but can't say I've heard anything good or bad about CityWorks. Thinking about giving it a try on my next trip. What do the experts say? P.S. Love the show, guys. Really makes my daily commute bearable. Can't thank you enough. Well, that's awesome, Bob. And hope you're doing well up in Cape Cod. All right, Ricky, I know you've been to the Poorhouse. I've lived there, but you've been there. So let's give a little. I don't know if you did the brunch, though. I don't think you did. You were there at night.
I have not done the brunch. I vaguely remembered them like mentioning it back in the day, before all the COVID stuff happened, but then like kind of escaped my brain that they offered brunch. But man, with the names of some of those places or menu items, that sounds amazing. I really do like CityWorks though. I've had one really good meal there and one fine meal there. Nothing like the first one was nothing to write home about, but again, it had just opened at that point. Like I think it had been open for like maybe a few days. So I kind of gave them a little leeway on that one. The second time I went though, it was really, really good. So I very much like CityWorks. Overall, I think that they've done a really good job with the venue. I think that it is the perfect place if you like beer. I think Pam can speak of that one. They have lots of beers on the menu, and the menu is very very varied, I guess is the best way to put it. It's there's really something for everyone, and that's what I like the most about CityWorks is that there is definitely something for everyone. And if you're there to watch the game, I mean, there's no better spot basically, because the TVs there are gigantic and they have sports on all the time. So yeah.
Bam, when there's sports, and there's sports again. I mean, except for hockey's gone in St. Louis, but what can you do?
Yes.
It sounds great. Now, Pam, have you been there yet?
I have a few times actually. We really like it.
You've been there either. Okay, so give your review. I'm just out.
We do. We really like it. And the thing I sort of like about it is that, first of all, if you like beer, they have about 100 different beers available. Craft beers on tap. It is an ever-changing list of beers. And we've been there actually since Walt Disney World opened back up, and now they give you sort of scan the QR code and all the list of beers come up. So it was awesome. I just, it's a very sort of casual place, but the food is really good. And the thing that I've gotten there a couple times, because, I do this thing where I try something, I like it, and then I'm afraid to like stray off of that. Mm-hmm. They have filet sliders that are so good, really, truly good. So give those a try if you're going to be there. The appetizers are awesome too. I've had the Kung Pao cauliflower, and a few other things there. So we've liked everything that we've had there. People that I know that don't drink beer have gotten the drinks and felt like that was good too. It's just kind of a very casual place to go. And they have great food. The service has always been really outstanding. And we were talking to our waitress last time, and she actually told us that there are other city works across the country, which I didn't know about. And it turns out there's one here in Pittsburgh. Really? How did I not know about this?
What?
So
That's awesome.
I know, right? So they do a great job. They actually have beer flights. Jocelyn is mentioning this and reminding me that they have a lot of beer flights. So the great thing about if you're a beer lover is that at times it's really challenging to pick a beer, just one, because you want to try a bunch of them. And the beer flight makes that possible. So love that too. Just a lot of things to like about it. It is absolutely worth the trip over to Disney Springs. And there's so many great places to eat at Disney Springs. I find myself having a problem deciding where I want to go because they're all good. So it's like, oh, I want to go here, but I want to go here too, and I want to go here. So I knew in the back of my mind about the brunch, but we have not done the brunch. And when we first started talking about this, I actually pulled up the menu on my phone, and yeah, you're right. There are some yummy looking things on the brunch, so that is going on the list of things I must do.
So you'll find Pam there probably Sunday. Yeah, exactly.
Sunday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but also with its location, I would imagine that it's pretty easy to get in because it's on that west side where without Lanuba happening right now, I don't think NBA Experience is open right now. I mean, there's not a lot happening down at that end of the, so if you're looking to get a place, this might be a good place to go.
It's definitely worth getting over there. And not only can you make reservations, here's the tip, right? You can make them through the Disney system, but you can also make them through Open Table. So that's another place to check if the Disney system does not have availability. But don't use that Open Table trick too often because that's my trick.
Yes.
So, and you know I don't plan. So I need some things to be open at the last minute.
Yes. Do as we say, not as we do. All right. Kathy's got a question. Hey, BOGP podcast crew, this is about the Christmas of 2020. I would like your opinion since you've just returned from the world on what your thoughts are on going down for 3 nights, 4 days, December 19th to the 22nd, and staying at Pop Century. We too live in St. Peters, Missouri, and fly Southwest. Right here in my town. Do you think crowd levels will increase by then? I'm apprehensive to go without Fast Pass and ADRs. Epcot is our least favorite park, seems to have the least amount of rides, and would have that as our first park day. Then 1 day each and flying out at 10 p.m. So we'd have all day on our last chosen park. Travel doesn't scare me. It's money spent versus what we'll actually get for our money. Thanks for always being my go-to for Disney advice. Kathy with an I. That's when somebody's got an I on the end, it just means, well, like, Ricky, you got an I on the end of your name. It's like you're like a renegade. You're like, I'm not going with a Y.
Going with an I. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So no. Give your thought. I mean, Ricky, give your thoughts. I mean, Epcot being her favorite part kind of lost me there for a second, but I can get back on the train here. There's as many rides and stuff. You just got to experience the atmosphere, but I would totally do it. But the crowds, I would imagine, will be bigger by mid-December, right before Christmas.
It kind of depends on how Disney decides to keep going with things. I mean, let's be honest, we don't know. The way I was just there, obviously this weekend, the crowds were extremely manageable. Very easy to deal with. And, I had a really good time, even without Fast Pass. I know that was kind of one of her fears. I was talking with the guys beforehand, and I said that my unpopular Disney opinion right now, and I know I'm going to get flack for it, is that I wouldn't be mad if Fast Pass went away. I just wouldn't. So, I mean, that's unpopular, and I'm well aware of that. But I had a really good time without it this weekend.
We try to teach you the error of your ways.
I understand. I get it. The error of my ways is definitely true. Understand. The other thing was I think I heard that she mentioned that she was worried about not being able to have ADRs. Another good thing is they're still offering you the ability to make advanced dining reservations. So you'll still be able to have, if that was one of your fears, you'll still be able to have dining reservations. Matter of fact, I had 2 that I made for this weekend, and I made them like within a couple days of my trip. So I was still able to get dining reservations even that close out. it was fine. So for those who don't know, and I think Pam kind of talked about it, they have, instead of giving you menus when you get to the restaurants, though, they will give you a piece of paper with a QR code on it. You'll need to scan that. And if you don't know, you use your camera to scan the QR code. It'll allow a menu to pop up. You can look at the menu offerings there. Everything is really simple and easy. They make it, the menus are a little pared down. Just kind of keep that in mind. Most restaurants, but it's very simple to be able to dine at Walt Disney World. We did the mobile ordering as well, so had that experience at Pizza Rizzo. I know not a lot of people also like Pizza Rizzo. Brian and I do, which is like it's one of our favorite places. I know we have horrible taste. It's fine. Yeah, exactly. We have horrible taste. I get it. It's just
why is that restaurant still open?
I know.
Because Ricky goes there.
Because I go there. It was actually really busy yesterday too, which is kind of funny.
You love that wedding reception vibe up on
dude. We went into the wedding reception room and had so much fun. Oh my gosh, we danced to all the music that was playing.
Like a VFW hall in the Midwest.
It was so awesome. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. But the mobile ordering, again, it's really easy, simple to do. You go on the app and then you look at the menu, you place your order for what you want. And then when make sure when you're near the restaurant, you click the I'm here button. Don't click it when you're walking up to the cast member, because they will tell you to go and sit and wait until your food is actually ready to be picked up. So once it's ready, they will direct you to whatever bay or window or whatever that you'll need to go to, and then you'll be able to go pick up your order. And it's again, really simple, easy. So Disney's making it very simple for people. And I had a great time, and I think you will too in December. So I say go for it. Yeah.
I agree too, because even if you don't do the thing is, you can make the ADRs, you're not get fast passes, you're probably not going to need them.
Right.
And going down that time of year, you're going to get all the atmosphere, the Christmas background loops, the decorations, you're going to be, right before Christmas, when you come home, you're going to be like, you're going to be like sweating mistletoe, you're going to be ready for Christmas to happen, and it's because who knows, in Missouri, we might not have a white Christmas, they'll simulate it, I'm sure, on Main Street or do something, and you'll have all that Christmas spirit, worst case, and you're still going to ride a ton of rides, I promise you. So I would, I think right now you don't need to take, Scott's probably listening, but you don't have to take the month-long vacation. You can probably sneak in a 4-day, 4-night, 5-day, 3-night, 4-day vacation and come home and still feel like, man, we got a lot done. This is the time for like the extended weekend, maybe a Monday to Friday. Pam, what do you think real quick on this topic?
I think that you don't have to worry about spending the money and not getting what you paid for. I know that that's a common concern of people right now, and it's hard to really express this without sounding like jerky about it, but you seriously don't worry about it right now. You're probably getting more bang for your buck right now than you've gotten the past 5 years.
Yep.
And it's just because the amount of things that you're able to do and the passion of the cast that are there. Disney is continuously opening up new restaurants that weren't open before. This past weekend, they dumped a whole bunch of availability in with restaurants that were closed leading up to this. So things are starting to open, but we're still nowhere near the capacity that it used to be. And it's not something you need to be concerned about. You're going to be able to go. It's funny, when I thought about how Disney would reopen, I thought there would actually be a ton of attractions that were just closed because the number of casts that it took to operate the attractions and things like that. At the end of the day, you really have to look at cost, what you're bringing in versus what you're putting out. But they haven't. They've made the experience so great, and our character interactions different. They absolutely are different. We've talked about this, but in some ways, they're actually so much more unique and interesting. And I love that they're bringing out characters that you don't get to see all the time. That's a really cool thing too. So I think there's so much opportunity to find magic here that your expenditure, your cash outlay, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck right now. And I think that will continue. We haven't even heard whisperings about them increasing capacity at this point. And so I would take advantage of it this year, because who knows what will happen in the years in the future.
Yeah, I think if you're not scared to travel, that it's gonna be one of those things. If you don't do it and you're like a big Disney fan, you're gonna kind of maybe 2-3 years like, I wish I would have just went for that.
Yes,
Such a unique time. Just
it is. It is.
All right, one of my good guests over here, Christopher, and he had a question because he's going to be heading down to Caribbean Beach, and he asked me to throw this on the show this week. So here we are. He staying at Caribbean Beach, said, I haven't stayed at Caribbean Beach in quite some time, so I'm curious what buildings you'd recommend for room requests. Thinking I'd like to be close to the Skyliner with 2 or 3 days being at parks on the line, but is there somewhere that's a good balance between the Skyliner and the main building? Also, is Caribbean Beach on a direct line to Hollywood Studios? We'd like to take a shot at getting on Rise. And I heard about your fiasco with the switching heading to this park. With the park opening at 10, when does the Skyliner start running? Any help in the above would be greatly appreciated. So I pulled up the map on the mouseforless.com and I'm looking around. And the thing is, I mean, okay, so obviously here's my best advice. And I've said this for years, Pam, because I learned it from you. Honestly, it's not to ask for a section of the resort. It's to let them know what you are looking for, but you got to prioritize. If you say something like and I'm not getting on Chris, but this is kind of like my old school teacher in me. If you say, I want to be close to the middle of the resort, or I want to be close to the Skyliner, it puts the cast member in a rough spot because you can't be in both. You got to say, well, you got to kind of pick one or the other. You can put both, but I mean, when you put both, you're kind of leaving it up to the discretion of the person. If you say, and again, these aren't guaranteed, but Disney does a really good job with the room assignments I've seen. And like, say, if you want to be next to the Skyliner, just put this being Skyliner, being close to Skyliner is very important to me. Can we make that happen? And they're going to be close to there. If you want to be close to like Centertown or something like that, say that. I wouldn't even put a village. You can look at the map and so forth and see like Jamaica, Aruba, Trinidad, wherever you want to be. And you could do that, but I like to say what I'm looking for because it gives the cast member, the room assigner, more leeway. I don't, Pam, what do you think?
That's absolutely how I feel. I mean, people are often like, well, I want to do this, but I want to do that. So I'm trying to pick this building because I think it will be that. And I am always I give the same advice. Put in your room request what's really important to you and pick the first thing that's important to you. That goes first. Pick maybe one other thing. I would not pick more than 2. You should see sometimes we get people who have a room request that's like this and they want to include a room number. And I'm like, oh, bless your heart. Please don't do that because that may not happen for you. And then you may get something that, the cast member and their desire to try to meet that put you somewhere that they think it's going to be and it's completely not.
Too. And if like you put a room number and that room number is already occupied, then the cast member is like, well, didn't get that request. So, you're at the opposite end of the resort. Where want that, that area of the resort, they get fixed.
Exactly.
They have so many rooms to assign. I don't think they, spend 10 minutes on every room assignment.
It's true. And I will say too, that unless you're in a pirate room, you are not going to be located in those buildings that are the furthest away from things. That's not happening right now. And I know that Caribbean Beach sort of seems to be an expansive resort and that's sometimes feedback that we hear, but honestly, there are no buildings that are that far away from things. There really, truly aren't. So take a look at the map and kind of get a sense for where things are. But even if you're by the Skyliner, you're not going to be that far away from Centertown. And the other thing is that they have an internal bus system that allows that to happen. So, I think that you'll be able to find something that you really like. And the great thing about Caribbean Beach, which is making it more desirable than ever, it is that it's sort of the hub for the Skyliner at this point. You get to go there and you get to pick where you're going to go based on, what's important to you. And you can choose either line right there and you're going to end up exactly where you want to go. You don't have to transfer. You don't have to make any of those things. So it's the hub and you're lucky for that. And I think, we're going to see when things start to really open back up the whole way, I think the desire to be at Caribbean Beach is going to be much greater than it has been in the past. People are going to realize, first of all, what an awesome resort it is. I mean, that theme, you step onto Caribbean Beach property and you're on vacation. You feel somewhere tropical. There's great calypso music playing. Like they should hand you a drink the second you walk in there, right? Because it's like, oh, I am on vacation. It's so lush and tropical. It's actually the first moderate resort that was built on Disney property. So some of that foliage is humongous. And again, furthers this whole theme that you're somewhere tropical and it's going to be awesome. So the rooms are just a smidge bigger at Caribbean Beach than they are at the other moderate resorts, and they really have a cool theme. They've been redone in the not too distant past. So go and enjoy Caribbean Beach. I think you're going to love it.
And you're a direct shot to both Epcot and Hollywood Studio from Caribbean
You
Beach.
are. And the Skyliner's been operating about a half an hour prior to the park opening. They do allow you to get in line about an hour before park opening. That's what's happening right now. Of course, that could change tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. So what you're going to want to do as soon as you get there is talk to the cast members, not just at your resort, but I would talk to a cast member actually there at the Skyliner station, because they're going to have the most up-to-date procedures. Tell them exactly what you want to do, and they'll help you with that.
And it opened at 9 for a 10 o'clock opening at the studios. So you had an hour, but you're cutting off half of the crowd by staying at Caribbean Beach, because you don't have hopping over and you got that less hop. So yeah, you will not, if you're Caribbean Beach and you're just on the ball and you're out there, you're not gonna have any problem getting to the park before park opening. It's just, and I wouldn't have either if I'd have just lined up sooner. I just decided to get breakfast at the last minute and threw me off, Stomach talks, man. I'm just saying. Okay, let's see here. Let's get these questions that I missed in the chat. Bethany's asking, weird speculation here. Will most of the parks, mainly the Magic Kingdom, be decorated for Christmas the week before Thanksgiving? So right now we're kind of in that, I've seen a couple of decorations go up in the Magic Kingdom for Halloween, like in the last day or two, but not a lot. And again, the Halloween parties would have started by now if we were in a normal year. So what's the speculation, Ricky? What do we think about decorating for Halloween and Christmas?
I mean, usually the Magic Kingdom, of course, would be decorated by that point, because it would be having Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So, and of course, as we know, Mickey's Very Merry is still in limbo right now. My suspicion is it will be canceled. But with that being said, they're still going to want to decorate for Christmas. So I think you'll be fine. I think that they will at least be partially decorated by that point for Christmas.
Especially Walmart's got Christmas trees up right now.
Yeah, exactly.
For Thanksgiving, I think you'd see some Christmas decorations for sure.
I mean, yeah, it may take them a little longer to do some decorating because, social distancing and stuff like that, because usually they do all that decorating in like one night, and, they have huge teams of people. So I don't know that it will happen as quickly as it has happened in the past. But, you'll definitely see something, I'm sure, at that week before Thanksgiving time period. So
all right, Marlesa's got a question here in the live chat. I like this. Hey, BOGP crew, if each of you had to pick one, which of the following do you think will return to Walt Disney World first in some form, and why? So what do we think we're going to get back first? The dining plan, fast pass, non-distance character meet and greets, ticketed events like the parties we just spoke of, or extra magic hours? So let's just go with that. Which one of those? That's a tough call. Do you think you would get first? So I'm looking. I'm going to go with, out of that list, probably ticketed events. Because you can limit capacity. There's no need to be close. It could meet, the rules that they have to do for capacity. I would say that. Pam, what do you say?
So I think there are tons of opportunities for ticketed events to return. And I think that there are people who have the desire in spaces and times where they're not able to allow the whole crowd or the number of guests that are in a certain park to participate in something. I think there's a definite desire on people's, list of like, I want to do that. I would pay to do that. Tours, things like that. But I also think that we're going to see the dining plan return. I cannot tell you how many of our guests are dying for some kind of dining plan to return. Like, I touch my watch again. Of course, Mickey has to speak up. I don't know why I've done that the past 2 or 3 podcasts. I know, right? So anyways, and I think that we will see the dining plan come back in some way. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for counter service to come back, first of all, and then also the new Disney Dining Plan Plus, because those are credits that can be used at both table service and counter service, so people could get their money's worth. Every week when I have a meeting with Disney about things, I say, please bring a dining plan back, because we have so many guests who want that, and actually had guests cancel their vacation because they could not add a dining plan. That's how passionate people are about this. So I think that Disney's considering it, but as you know, with all things Disney, they're really being thoughtful about the way that they want to bring this back, and they want to make sure that it's not a situation where it's causing guest disappointment. And I think they're going to do it in the right way. So
Agreed.
those two, I picked two. You know, I get to pick two. I almost always pick two. So,
and I mean, it's time. Disney needs more revenue, and those would be both things that would bring in revenue. So
for sure.
Also guest satisfaction at the same time, which is a win-win. So, Ricky, what do you say out of those same things?
I was going to go the exact same two that Pam said. Yes. I think that the extra events are, again, a great way, because you can definitely minimize crowds. I mean, during those events, I mean, heck, you know, the events half the time were like they are right now. You know, the parks were just like they are now,
right?
Without, you know, social distancing. So with less people. So I absolutely think that would be a possibility. And like you said, Mike, extra revenue, they're always looking for the ability to make extra revenue right now. That's certainly something that they're needing. So I think that's kind of a no-brainer. And then the dining plan, those are the things that I think are the two easiest things for them to bring back. Like Pam was saying, you know, the dining plan, so many people are requesting it, and it's the only reason and my understanding that they got rid of the dining plan, well, one of the main reasons is because of the capacity for the restaurants. You know, and I think that they're starting to get a handle on the capacity for the restaurants, especially with them adding restaurants like Pam mentioned as well. I know they added Tep and Ito this week. So, you know, and there are other restaurants that have been added too. So I think that with having those, you know, with having those things, I think that getting the dining plan back sooner rather than later is going to happen. So.
I agree. All right, Daniel Cisneros, who I remember Matt Hotchberg from way back in the day saying from Las Cruces, New Mexico, when he would write into the old show. He says, if someone did not have a phone or device, would they be able to order food and or do Rise of the Resistance? Pam, good question.
So food, they have you covered there.
That's barbaric.
Yeah, right.
I know, right? So it's definitely to your advantage to use mobile ordering for any kind of quick service. But if you do not have that ability on your phone, you can go up. There's a cast member located by the entrances, almost every location, that will be able to help you figure out what to do in that case. Rise of the Resistance is a bit more challenging in that part. I do not know that they have anything that would permit you or allow you to get that. It's a very closed system. It operates almost exclusively through the app, and I do not think that they have something set up to deal with that. If you do not have that, you could talk with guest services. I would want to talk with them the day before, because that morning, I don't even know that you'll be able to do that. But maybe you want to find a friend that has that and let them become their friend and let them make reservations for you.
So I'll buy you some Backlot Express, man, if you hook me up.
There you go, right?
They do have the guest experience team in Disney's Hollywood Studios as well. And again, I would talk to them ahead of time. The problem is that the park is opening at 10 and the reservations are going live at 10, and they are going like
quick.
I mean, I've heard 10 seconds. So, you know, if you're not on the app and, you know, at, 10 o'clock exactly, your chances of getting it are very slim. We didn't even try this weekend. Like even though we could have been at the parks by 10, it was a hectic morning, and I just said, forget it. Let's just not worry about it, because if, you know, there was the chance of, in 10 seconds of not being able to get it. So I was like, forget it. So I've written it, and I was like, okay, that's fine for me right now. So
I got there at 5:30 in the morning to ride it.
Yeah, I know you did. It's fine. I love the attraction. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great attraction. I think it is probably the coolest attraction in Orlando. And that says a lot, because for me, it was Spider-Man before that. So, you know, the fact that Rise has taken that spot from Spider-Man, which had been there for so long, is a big deal. But there was too much going on. So, and when it was we had to leave, on Sunday we had to leave early. So I didn't even try for the 2:00 time slot either, because there was just no way. But, next time we'll see how it goes.
All righty. Let's see here. So we have a couple more questions. Let's see. Deborah in the live chat says, can you use refillable mugs at the Pop? Yes. And they have them for sale, but you got to buy them in the gift shop. With a little cash register between the gift shop and the food court, because they're not selling anything in the food court. Everything's mobile order. You just grab your sack. But I think what they're doing, I didn't buy one this time, but I think what they're doing is you buy the refillable mug and then you just show it to them and they give you like a soda in a cup and you can pour it into your mug.
I think that's right.
Keep it pristine.
Yep.
But they don't have the Skyliner awesome mugs right now. They have Star Wars ones, which are cool, but that makes mine a collectible. No, we had that conversation on the live show Sunday night with Alfred. He wants that bad, and sorry, but I only bought one, and it's got my, it's got my Coke Zero remnants all over it. So I can agree. All right. So anyway, we have another question. Let's see here. Lots of comments, and where'd it go? I always lose them. And here it is. It's Dan. Is there any possible chance that the rule about is there any possible chance that the rule about those with disabilities having to wear a mask changing? It's the only thing holding us back. We'd be there, but our 17-year-old son cannot wear one. We'd never leave him behind. I totally get that. From what I'm seeing, I would say that no, because of local and state guidelines and restrictions, because I have seen where Disney has turned folks away, no questions asked, right at the gates. I think that's something that is just because of the current situation, they just can't have leeway, I think, because then they would open up a can of worms. And I totally understand where you're not saying anybody's trying to game the system, anything like that. But I think Disney has to just kind of right now at this point have a hard set rule, because it's just the sign of the times. It's so sad. I mean, Pam, we've seen it on social media. They've turned people around. Right,
they have, and their position has been firm since the beginning that you do have to wear a mask if you are over the age of 2, and regardless of a disability issue. And the reason I've seen on that has to do with they just don't have leeway in this space. There were certain conditions they had to agree to, and that's what it is. I'm sorry, Deanne. I wish I had better news for you, but that's what it is right now, and I don't want to see anyone go there and be disappointed. We did see it got a lot of play in the social media last week. I think there may have been a little bit of an ulterior motive there, but I'll try to keep that one to myself. We won't get into a debate. Not that people don't have legitimate concerns about that. That's not my issue. I think that there was an agenda there, and I understand that, but not necessarily I think that's the best way to go about it. So
and this weekend, when I was there, I actually did see cast members telling people, pull up your mask. They were, even when they were just sitting down, on benches or whatever, if you were not actively eating or drinking at the time, they absolutely, multiple times I've saw them say, you need to have your mask over your nose and your mouth. And there are a few relaxation stations in the park, in all of the parks in different locations. And you can take your mask off there. And some are air conditioned, some are not. So just, keep that in mind too. You have to wear it at all times. Matter of fact, they yelled at Brian a couple times. Because Brian's one who kind of goes under the nose a little bit. So, just the way his mask.
Brian is such a bad dude.
I know. He has a homemade mask that my mom made, and she had like the tiniest little, design.
It doesn't fit his grill.
It doesn't fit his face totally. So it'll sometimes fall under his nose, and he got yelled at.
I see that every time. Brian's he gets this mask from Donna, and Donna's all proud of it, and he says, "This thing isn't going to fit my grill, but I don't want to make Donna feel bad, so I'm going to wear this thing and get yelled at multiple times." Just to save Donna's feelings. I mean, now he's a good guy again. It just all turns around.
Mom found another mask style that worked out better, and so like that was her very first one that she did, and then like she did a second trial at it, and those are better. He likes those. He likes the masks my mom made. I guess they were a little more breathable. I'm not sure, but yeah. So he's perfectly happy in the second version of the mask, but he still has the first version.
It was like 7 layers thick and made for a 2-year-old, but he still wore it all day, almost passed out.
It's fine.
But he's like, I don't want to hurt Donna's feelings. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, I get it.
Yes, exactly.
All right. We're going to think of one last question for Alfred because he's Alfred. He says, if you could go anytime in September, what week is best and where would be the best value to stay? Okay. I got the second one, Pop Century.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's the only one open.
That's your only choice.
That's it.
So I have 100% accuracy on my part. I would also say the week after Labor Day traditionally is a good time to go.
Mm-hmm.
I say any weekend, September at this point. I think it's going to be just fine. September has always been one of my favorite times to go. It has always been a little less crowded, and this year I think it'll be, even more so. So
I think so too. You'll be able to enjoy the pool and the parks, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
100%. All right. Well, let's get to the big announcement. That's it for the questions today. Thank you for sending those. And you can send those to mike@beourguestpodcast.com. Just put listener question in the subject line, and we'll get that on the next show. But one of the things I've been wanting to do, and we've been experimenting with this with the patron group over the last week. We've added the lizard group as the second group, and now we're going to have what's called a Discord server for the podcast as a whole. You might say, Discord server, what's that? I said the same thing. I had no idea what this was. Thank God we have a lot of smart listeners that helped me through this over the past week to 10 days. But I'd heard about it with other communities, other podcasts, especially usually tech podcasts that I listen to, not necessarily Disney ones. What it is, back in the day with our podcast, and I like saying back in the day because we're old.
We are old.
We've been around a long time. We had those old V bulletin message boards that were incredible. We had the little header at the top that would have ghosts at Halloween.
Yes, we did fantastic with those. Yes.
I love those. Those were my favorite things.
Christmas display where every time each week we'd see a different part of the display be revealed. Yes.
God, I miss those days.
Yes.
I totally Valentine's Day, all that. So anyway, if you weren't around back then, you missed out.
You missed out a lot.
I've been missing that, and I know we've gone past. This was way before, the social media really took off. It was before Facebook was as big, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. It's just kind of a way to get together. But what I miss is kind of the real time conversations that kind of went on all the time, sharing pictures, sharing memories. So what we set up it's called a Discord server, and what it is, if you're an old timer, you might remember something called IRC, which was Internet Relay Chat, which was the very first chat rooms. It's kind of like that, and it's going all the time, but you can share all kinds of stuff. It's very up to date. You might say, oh my gosh, I don't need another thing in my life. Just check it out. We have the link in the Facebook group at facebook.com/beourguestpodcast, or just go to beourguestpodcast.com, scroll down on the right side. There's a link. It says join the Discord or whatever, and it's got our 3 pictures, little cartoon. So click on that and just give it a shot this week. It's kind of fun to talk with other listeners of the show, talk about your trip planning. I'm in there all the time during the day. Ricky might be in there. Pam might be in there. Who knows? We're just going to, just if you want to talk to somebody, if you have a question, it's kind of cool to see what's going on. And we have listeners all around the world. So, while it's the middle of the night here, you could be talking to somebody from Australia, Japan. We have listeners everywhere, the UK. So just check it out. It's kind of a new way just to get community going and just a fun little tool. So check it out. Just go to beourguestpodcast.com and click the little tab thing on the right or the Facebook page. There's a link there at the top as well. So give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. I like talking to folks. It's kind of fun. But I will warn you, it's a time suck. I mean, I'm just saying, it's I've been I need to get back to work. That's 15 minutes now. I got to get back to work. So just saying, use it at your own precautions. I'm just saying. All right. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. When you want to go to your Disney destination, and really now's a good time to go this fall, this winter. But if you're, waiting for 2021, that's awesome as well. Just drop by the magicforless.com today. Check out all the great trip planning tools. And while you're there, very important, fill out that quote form. Mention the Be Our Guest podcast. We'll put some numbers together for you, check that availability, give you all the information you need. And then we'll plan that next vacation together and we'll make it awesome. I'm telling you, Ricky just got back. She said it was awesome. I just got back. It was awesome. So moving forward, you can have a great trip. I can't say it enough. It's a great time to go. So check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Also use our Amazon affiliate link if you don't mind, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. If you want to become a patron of the show, we have a Discord just for our patrons, and that thing is crazy. It's fun. We're talking Big Brother on it today. I know nobody cares, right? But yeah, it's a sad week in Big Brother. Oh, sad fiddle if you watch. Anyway, we're talking about that and all kinds of other Disney stuff as well. Patreon.com/BRGuestPodcast. Instagram and Twitter at BRGuestMike and at BRGuestPod, and of course Facebook and YouTube. Just search for the BRGuest Podcast. All right, time to get back to work, but we're going to be back again on Friday, and we're talking ABD, right? ABD. You know what ABD is? It's Adventures by Disney. You probably didn't see that coming, right?
No.
That's what we're talking about. So if you've ever wanted to travel, see the world with under the Disney umbrella, as they say, or even what about like the Grand Tetons or Rocky Mountain National Park? What if you want to go to Wyoming or see Disneyland, but like a VIP? Adventures by Disney can help you do that. And we're going to talk about that on Friday. So come on back for that. So until then, for Ricky and Pam, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Wednesday. Time to head back to work, and we'll see you real soon. All right, save that, dude.
Yay.
Episode 1752. People have been signing up for the Discord like crazy during the show because I put it in the Facebook group.
Gotcha.
Let me see. I need a new logo for one of them. Let's see. There's all kinds of people there. Okay, let me close that one.
Okay.
1754 Adventures by Disney. Pull up the doc. All right. So what do we got to make sure we get in, Pam? Is it just what you got in the notes?
Yeah, I mean, I just put those there to make sure like there are some things that we hit. I think that first of all, people just don't know what an Adventures by Disney vacation really is or what that means for them. So, I think if we can just talk about some of those and why it's like the best vacation I've ever taken in my whole life ever. So
I'm only a little jealous. It's fine. Only a little.
All right. Here we go. 1754. Oh my God. Here comes the moose. What do you want? What do you want? Go. Pets.
Hey, mine is behaving right now. I'm just saying.
What's mine? I mean, she's hanging out. Okay, here we go. 1754. Welcome to episode 1754 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm Mike Rallman. I just screwed that up.
Oh.
What do I say?
All right.
I told you I'm not saying because I was reading
and I
something.
mean the numbers for you.
What's that?
We need a sign language interpreter.
Got it.
We do.
I do.
We do. I can't.
That'd be
I
scary.
can't. Too many windows going here. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 1754 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Friday to you. And grab your beret or grab a lei. You got to grab something exotic because today we're traveling with Disney. We're talking Adventures by Disney. And I know a lot of our listeners have taken these adventures. They come back and they're raving about what great experiences they had. But I bet you many of our listeners, we've heard of Adventures by Disney because maybe you see it on a bus on your Walt Disney World vacation. Sometimes you see it on the resort TV, a little infomercial about it. But today we're going to talk about what Adventures by Disney really is and how it could be that next trip that you haven't even thought of yet. It's a great way to see the world with the comfort of the Disney brand and also to get access to things that mere mortals typically don't get. So joining us today to have a fun conversation about something, we got a daydream about stuff. It's still 2020. It's the longest 7 years of my life. So we're going to talk about when the world gets back to normal, what cool stuff we can do again. So joining me here, we have Ricky from touringplans.com and the mouseforless.com. What's up, Ricky? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And I have to say, Adventures by Disney has been on my bucket list for a number of years now, and it will happen at some point. I'm looking at a few options, but it's definitely right up there for like one of the trips that I'm going to have to take in the near future. So yeah, it's definitely up there. And I'm sure once I start, as Pam says, it's like Pringles or whatever chip it was. Once you start, you can't stop. So,
I think that was Ruffles.
Ruffles. I just got the wrong chip brand. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to ask all three of this. I'm going to ask myself first. Well, I'll ask you first, ladies first, but then I'll give mine. Right now, of the offerings, if Adventures by Disney came and said, Ricky,
easy,
you are awesome. You don't know the question.
I already know what it is.
You have to give your co-host the trip of their dreams. You didn't know. No, just kidding. No, but if you could take any adventure you want out of the offerings right now, where in the world would you go?
I mean, 100%. That backstage magic at Disneyland. That's the one I'm eyeing like so hardcore. Like it would either be that or some sort of Adventures by Disney trip that took me to Tokyo, and then I was able to, or the Shanghai, and so then I was able to experience those resorts as well as because that right there would be the best way, I think, to be able to experience those resorts. Is not only do you get a little bit of the culture from the Adventures by Disney, but then you also get the access to the Disney park. I think on some of them, not all of them, of course. But like that is like my ultimate, like that I think would be the easy, especially for like a first time to go to one of those, areas and not speaking the language. Something like Adventures by Disney is so key, especially having been to France and not speaking the language. Having somebody as your like person to help you guide you through it all that actually speaks both languages is huge. So yes, those are kind of my two in mind. So,
and we're going to address this today. It's not one person, it's two adventure guides.
Yes,
in every Adventures by Disney, but we're getting to that because Pam has met multiple adventure guides in her day. Pam Forster joins us. She's the co-owner of the Magic for Less Travel. She's going to walk us through what it's really like to be on these adventures. Pam, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. And I'm so passionate about Adventures by Disney. And like Ricky mentioned, what happens with a lot of people is they look at the Adventures by Disney portfolio and pick something that's, that they want to experience with Adventures by Disney. And they think it's going to be their bucket list trip, right? They think they're going to do one Adventures by Disney vacation, and then that would be it. But what typically ends up happening is they become passionate about the Adventures by Disney experience too, and they end up being repeat guests. There's a huge percentage of people on an Adventures by Disney vacation who are repeat guests, and there's a huge percentage of people who experience Adventures by Disney who do it again. So I'm passionate about traveling to begin with, but Adventures by Disney especially, because for me, when I travel, it is about the experiences that I have and the people that I get to have them with. And nothing is more crucial to an Adventures by Disney vacation than those two principles. And they just do it better than anything else I've ever experienced. So I'm going to gush a little bit through this. I will warn you now. This is my passion about this. While I love Disney vacations, Universal vacations, cruise vacations, they're all spectacular and part of my life story. Adventures by Disney is hands down the best vacation I've ever taken. So boom, right. There's my endorsement. We're done.
Let's go. That's it.
No, okay, so here we go though. Adventures by Disney comes and says you got to give Mike an adventure. No, just kidding. He said they say, Pam, punch your ticket. Where are you going in the world with us tomorrow? And everything's open, everything's good. Where are you headed?
It's so this is so rough for me because there's so many that I still want to do. And I would do the ones that I have already done again. Yes. Like they were that good. So up high on my list is going to be the DNU River Cruise because at Christmas time, I took it. It wasn't at Christmas time. And this visits a lot of the Christmas markets that Europe is so famous for. And I think that's like once in a lifetime kind of very cool experience. But I would also say I have done Italy. I would do it again. They have a couple different Italy adventures. So maybe I'd pick a different Italy adventure than I've done. That would be off the chart awesome. And of course, Southern California would do that. My husband would say any of the ones that go to the national parks here in America, he loves the idea of that and like is pushing hard for one of those to happen. So I'm not able to pick one or two or even three. I want to do them all. So
I will concur, and obviously I haven't traveled out of the United States extensively, just on cruises to the Caribbean. But I will say, when you got back from that Italy adventure, what about 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess, that the pictures you had, I was like, when people say, and I don't even know if the term was around back then, living your best life, but I mean, like you that was an understatement. You guys were
For sure.
You're living like your life to the exponent of 10.
It really was. I mean, just the things that we got to do just are like, pinch yourself. You wouldn't ever think about this happening. They made it just such an awesome experience, and every Adventures by Disney that I've had the opportunity to do has been the same. So it's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, so quickly, mine would be the one you said Steve is hankering for. I want to go out west. I want to see the national. Go to Wyoming. I want to see, we think about the world, and trust me, I want to travel the world. I want to get to Europe. I want to go to Asia and check out, I'd like to go down. I want to go everywhere eventually in my life, but I've been to Yellowstone. I've been to Yosemite, but I didn't get to see, like, it was just like a drive through. It was like a National Lampoon's Vacation type thing. It was like, let's go. I want to get in there and, just immerse myself. I want to be on a dude ranch. I want to wear my Stetson. I got to wear it.
Please don't wear your chaps. That's all I got to say.
Boy. Getting off topic. Let's get to it because we only have so much time. So the biggest thing is when you do Adventures by Disney, say we're Disney fans. A lot of us are theme park fans. When you got Walt Disney World, you got Disneyland, you got the international parks. If you're a Disney Cruise Line fan, you got 4 ships to go to. The thing with Adventures by Disney, 50 plus adventures over 6 continents. So literally, the world is your playground, as some people say. So Pam, talk to us about that.
It is. So an Adventures by Disney experience is what is known as in the industry as a guided tour. And to especially Americans, I don't think that we're as familiar with that, right? Because it sort of sounds like a bunch of people on a tour bus pointing out, and to your right, you will see Big Ben. And then over to your left now, Buckingham Palace. And you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like most of our ideas of a good vacation. But with Disney,
I gotta stop you there though, because the seniors at my church do those to Branson. So
I know.
Or that's
another problem. That's another thing. Like people things. Yes. A guided tour, a lot of people that brings up a group of maybe older folks enjoying like something like that together, right? And they all get off the bus and go see the thing and then get back on the bus to travel to
and go to the cafeteria on the way,
Exactly. And I will tell you, there could be nothing more far from that truth than an Adventures by Disney vacation, really and truly. So when you take an Adventures by Disney vacation, the guided tour part means that there are 2 guides who not only help you experience where you are, but they help tell the story of where you are. And they make it something that's relatable to your whole family, the whole group that you have to be adventuring with. Mm-hmm. And the thing that stood out the most to me on our first Adventures by Disney vacation was, I have been to some of these locations without Adventures by Disney. I, was up and had gone through the process of planning that vacation and figuring out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. It was exhausting. Mm-hmm. It was a little scary to do because, picking like restaurants that you're going to take your family to and they're going to be hangry. They're going to be hangry. You're going to sit down. They're going to look at you and it's going to be this restaurant that you're like, I read it was good, and then they all hate it, right? Well, and you're just, oh no! Or planning, especially when you're in Europe, planning to get from this country to that country, or whatever. Like the transportation, it's mind-boggling. It's overwhelming. What do you mean I can't take my car into Italy that I rented in Germany? Like, why not? And there's all this kind of stuff. So it takes that part of the planning out of it, but it let me experience these places that we were going to go to in a really personal way. And the first time I was in Europe, like we must have saw 300 churches, which were all stunningly beautiful. But by church number 5, I was like,
I've seen it.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, like, I didn't really know what I was seeing, why I was seeing it, what importance it had, what not. Never happens in Adventures by Disney, because not only do you not, do you have the two guides who you're with through your whole adventure, they also bring local guides into the process too, to come and make these things that you're visiting come alive. You don't just, we've all seen probably the commercial, you don't just go to the castle in Scotland, you shoot archery there because that's a part of the process, like Merida or any of these things. They just really bring that process alive. So
Yep.
That's exciting. And the thing too is, and I don't know if we're going to mention this today, but I wanted to jump this in because I've had a lot of guests that have gone on adventures, and you're exactly right. When they go back, that they want to do it again. Most of the folks I've booked Adventures by Disney for don't just book one. They, within a year, they're looking at a second one or a third one. The thing too that I've learned from other agents that have gone, you and especially my guess, is that this is not something that's sold by Adventures by Disney as a benefit of the experience, but it seems like the groups that travel together. I noticed this when I taught at Space Camp too, is that the groups that travel together almost become like a family, like real relationships form. Because I don't think you can really sell this, but I think it's a really cool thing that I've heard people get back and they stay in contact through social media, and they become friends and they meet up and travel together, outside of even other things. They meet up for special events. Like it's a shared experience where maybe you come in as strangers, but by the time you leave, you're almost friends, or like a real tight-knit group. I mean, have you seen that on yours?
100%. And there's a couple of things that really bring this home. First of all, when we're planning an Adventures by Disney for a guest, if you have flexibility in your dates, you can actually talk with one of our agents, and we can get in contact with the vacationistas there at Adventures by Disney and say, hey, I have a family who has a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old. They would love to travel with another family who has kids of that age, and the vacationista can help sort of make that happen.
Cool.
And that's a very cool thing right there. But on each Adventures by Disney vacation, there is sort of this closing ceremony where you each sort of talk about the things that you learned or enjoyed or whatnot. I will tell you that every ceremony like this that I've been to, there have been tears shed. Truly, truly. And it wasn't just by me. It wasn't just by me. But
Was it Steve too? Yeah.
but I just, each time I experience one, I always think about this. They make the stories of these places that I'm going to with this group come to life. Mm-hmm. And now I feel like all these people that I got to experience it with, and I'm going to get teary almost, are part of my story, the story of my life, because I have experienced it with them. And travel is something that helps you make lifelong friends. So that's absolutely a part of it. Absolutely.
That draws me in, that kind of stuff, because I love that team building. I love relationships. Yes. You're right. Shared experiences, especially when everybody's doing something new. That's a cool thing. But on the opposite side of that, like you mentioned, especially, teens do that. I mean, like Mallory, I'll tell you just from the cruise experiences we've had, she got to go to the Edge this last time, and she's like, I want to do another cruise just because I want to go to the Edge, because she made friends there. Like, bam, so quick. But on the opposite side of that, they have adults only adventures.
They do. So that's part of it too. I mean, there are things. First of all, the adventures as a whole are typically something that the whole family can enjoy together. And if you have real young kids, like kids 5 or under, there are definitely adventures that will steer you to or steer you away from, because the activities may not be suitable for that. But for the most part, there's going to be options that are available for the whole family. And it's something that really appeals to sort of a multi-generational kind of family group. I mean, imagine being your grandparents and like being able to take not only your kids, but your grandkids. I mean, that is a true awesome experience. But there are certain dates each year in different itineraries that are set aside just for the adults. And that would be people that are 18 years or older to experience that kind of trip. And that's for people who are looking for that kind of experience. Not that they want to avoid kids or whatever. It's just that it does make for a different experience. And I think that's a huge benefit as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, and I will say, 2020 has just been 2020. We all know where we've been, but I had a guess I thought this was like the absolute coolest thing, and it was a grandpa and a grandson, and they were going to go to Peru together. Do the Peru Adventures by Disney. I mean, how cool would that be? Because they're going to reschedule once this all calms down and gets going again. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking, the memories they're going to make going to Machu Picchu, you know, like grandpa and the grandson. Like, I mean, I just remember going and playing golf with grandpa at Cloverleaf, you know, across the river, like 20 minutes from the house.
I did not go to Machu Picchu with my grandparents. That's for sure. Yeah.
The thing you can give your grandkids, any member of your family, is your time and shared experiences, you know, and I think you just mentioned that, Pam. I mean, how amazing to bond with a child or a grandchild. That was so cool.
I agree. I think it's just, you know, it's a good choice. I guess maybe I had wished Adventures by Disney was around when my grandparents were like, hey, let's do summer vacation together. I'm like, I got something for you. Grandchildren?
Yeah, Grandpa Ron cheated. I mean, he played Winter Rules in July just so he could raise the ball up. But I love my grandpa. Okay, so real quick, so we want to make sure we get this all in. So you might think, oh my gosh, some of these are like, they're very involved, they're very far away and stuff like that. But they've thought about this, and there's a way to kind of get your feet wet with a quick adventure, a quick escape. So talk to us about that, Pam. If people are like, I'm kind of curious about this, I'd like to give it a shot, but I don't want to commit to like a 12 day thing to South America. How can you get your feet wet?
They do. So Adventures by Disney a few years ago came up with something that they call Adventures by Disney Escapes. And it's basically a 2 to 5 night excursion to, certain destinations. And some of them are here again in North America for those of you who, want to concentrate on those. And the other thing you can do too is Disney Cruise Line on certain itineraries has an Adventures by Disney component to it that you can add to that experience. So if you're looking to sort of extend your Disney Cruise Line experience, the ones in Europe sometimes have this available. I know Copenhagen does, and Barcelona, and even the Disneyland Resort one has that, available. So that's a way that you can sort of get your feet wet in the Adventures by Disney experience to see if it's something that might appeal to you or your family, and test it out, as they say.
Yeah, and I would say, because I've looked at those too, because I think this is, say you're a family and, you don't have endless income sources. This is it's a more economical way to have a really cool experience. There's places like, I looked at one, because it's not far away from me. I'm in St. Louis, in the middle of America. There's one to Nashville, but I mean, you got to go down there for basically like a long weekend, but you got to experience like the country music, you got to go in the studios where Elvis recorded and where, all these people that if you're a country music fan, again, it's not far away. And I think coming out of this, this pandemic that we're in right now, maybe that's a good way to ease yourself back into travel, domestic travel first, and then maybe international travel later. And you kind of get the lay of the land as to how it's going to work with Adventures by Disney with one of these quick escapes.
Yeah, you do. They have some here in Boston. They have the Disneyland one. They have a New York City one. They have winter in Wyoming. That sounds a little bit like, I'm just having like romantic snow pictures, not the gross having to shovel the snow pictures, right? I mean, these are like that nice fluffy white snow, and we'll be trudging through it together. Not like
ching, 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 ching,
Yes.
Exactly. Not the one where you have to drag out the snowblower and like snow blow the driveway. Like somebody else has done this for us, folks. I'm just saying that. But I think that those are great ways to sort of test this, the escapes. That's something you can look into for sure.
And you mentioned also, because I want to talk cruising, and I want to talk first of all the add-ons to the regular Disney Cruise Line adventure. So say you're going to Europe for a Mediterranean cruise or Barcelona, something, you're going over there, and if you're from the States, it's a big, it's a lot of logistics getting over there. I would say to add this on because you're going to get this extra experience and get to immerse yourself more in that culture, maybe post-cruise or pre-cruise, depending on when it's offered. And I will say, this is one thing I wanted to hit too before we, wrap this show. I didn't want to miss this, is that the accommodations that you get with Adventures by Disney are basically stunning. I mean, we all go to Walt Disney World. Sometimes you stay at Pop Century. Sometimes you stay at Riverside. Sometimes you stay at the Grand, or sometimes you stay at, Beach Club and, Concierge Club. I mean, the thing is when they tell you where you're staying and how the room is set up for your guests, you're traveling first class. Absolutely.
It is. So I will, here's my little hint to people. when you go to different countries, sometimes the hotel accommodations are not exactly what you may be used to.
Nope.
And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but right, like your bed, like it could be a twin bed. Like how many hotels here in America do you go to that has a twin bed?
It's like the old Love Boat. I mean, like they'd have the gigantic room as big as my basement, as their stateroom, but then they would have twin beds. So I'm just
right. Charo may be there. I don't know. But anyway, so I think one of the things that for me is really appealing is that no matter where you're going in the world, Disney is looking for accommodations that will be something that's comfortable to most travelers. And when I say comfortable, I mean really posh and awesome, like comfortable to the 5 times extreme. It's just, you're really going to enjoy the accommodation. And that is part of the process. When you're traveling, especially internationally, I think to have comfortable and familiar accommodation, something that's, makes the travel experience better, is there's no one happy when you aren't getting sleep and you aren't getting food that you know and like. Right? I know.
No, that's me. Quit looking at me. That's me.
It is, Mike. He gets hangry, as they
say. Exactly.
And he does like to sleep when he wants to sleep.
I do. I got to get 9 o'clock, man. I got to be tucked in. So go ahead.
But the Adventures by Disney guides, whether you're traveling with people who have those needs, or maybe you have a really picky eater, guess what they're going to know how to help with? Really picky eaters. And they won't look at you like when you're in Italy and you're like, yeah, my child doesn't like this pizza because they're used to Domino's from at home, and this isn't anything like Domino's. They're going to be able to help out. They're going to be able to be like, whatever, your child is only used to getting Chef Boyardee. Well, then we're going to be able to work something out that will help them out. Even in Italy, they will be able to help you with finding those kind of locations where you can get the kind of food that you want. So I think that that's just part of the overall package. It's like, check that off as something I don't have to think about. I don't have to think about, where is my child going to get chicken nuggets here? So they'll be able to help.
And not for nothing, you don't have to mess with your luggage either. Like they're going to help you with that. Big deal.
Yes. I always thought this was something that they came and they would talk to us about when they first introduced Adventures by Disney. They're like, and you don't have to touch your luggage. And I'm like, well, I travel all the time and I have to haul my luggage everywhere. It's not that big of a deal. Whatever. I mean, that's nice. It sounds very, poshy posh, but I don't have to travel that way. I'll be fine. Well, let me tell you what this looked like. We got off the train in Venice and, we see all these tourists lugging their luggage behind them up and down all the hundreds of different footbridges that are through Venice. And did we have to do that? No. We walked out of the train station, down the road a little bit, stepped onto our gondola that took us to our lovely, lovely accommodations. Wow. And my luggage was there. It was waiting for me there. So, wow. I mean, I was like, oh, okay. Now I think I kind of see why this is cool. So.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to go back. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. And now I'm like constantly like, why do I have to touch my luggage?
Barbaric. Well, I want to hit a couple of things too, is that, what I've noticed is, we have all different personality types, especially in our listening audience. You have the folks who just want to, maybe you're just a very laid back. You're at that point in your life where you don't want to have to walk an extra step. You just want to take it easy. You want to go to wine tastings. You want to be, serve the greatest foods in the world. And there are adventures that cater to that, but also kind of on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have ultra marathoners, we have our running squad, and there are adventures where you can get out there and really push yourself physically to, to have experiences that, it's for like the aggro aggressive person that wants to get out there and really, that are slightly scary, slightly challenging, because I know they'll tell you, you're going to be at elevation when you do this at the beginning of the hike. So you got to make sure you're in good shape, which I think is great, because it's not, like you said, it's not just, getting on the church bus, heading to Branson and going to Pope's Cafeteria. You can really get out there and really push yourself on one of these adventures, which I like. I think that caters to a certain audience.
Those are two very different things.
Yes, they are. All right. So Ricky, would you zip line?
I am a little afraid of heights.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did it in Jamaica, man. That was awesome.
So would like to tell myself that I would zip line because I think it is
Yes.
cool. I don't know how easily when I get up there and they're hooking me into it, and I look down and I go, "What the?" You know?
Would we have to push you? We'd have to push you.
Oh yeah, you probably have
wanna
to push me. I mean, I would have a great time once
Right.
I got going, but like at first it would be like, oh dear God, what have I got
know.
myself into? Yes, but it's like
You're facing fear though, and you're overcoming. And I think that's what
Exactly.
it's all about. You're
Yeah.
trying something new.
Yes.
It is. What about whitewater rafting?
Yeah, I have no problem with whitewater rafting. That's fun.
All right,
Way
Mike,
more
would you do it?
Yeah, I would totally do it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
whitewater rafting scares me way more than ziplining. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that those are the things. There are things that do, opportunities that do sort of push you out of your comfort level, and some that are maybe a little bit scary, right? I mean, just really for a lot of people. And the great thing about that is that Adventures by Disney is pretty good about having two options for people.
Yes.
Like there might be one that's a little more challenging.
Can I go on the child zip line? I feel like that's much
right.
more my speed. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And so they usually offer a couple different options for that space. But yeah, I think, again, that's another thing about travel that we all enjoy is it sort of does push you out of your comfort zone. I mean, some of that is a little more uncomfortable than other things, but I think to be able to experience that when you're there with a bunch of people and doing something like that, you're sort of more likely to do it, right? I mean, you're like, I've paid this money, I'm here, I'm doing it. So,
and trust me, if I was there with you guys, you would make sure that I would end up doing it. Yes, you'd be like, go, you're doing it. Yes.
We can't wait to climb this mountain, and by God, we're going to get to the top.
And by God, we're going to push you off the zip line. Yes.
That's right. But then at the end of it, maybe you'll be able to sit in the jungle and have this awesome meal, and that will be part of your memory too. So there's going to be a little reward.
Yeah, there would have to be at that point.
You're the hero of your team, of your squad. All right.
I
So
agree.
we all know about Disney cruises. We talked about those, for years and years, being on the ships and stuff, and the fantasy dream, wonder and magic. But let's talk river cruising for a second, because that's something that Adventures by Disney added, I'd say maybe 5 years ago or so. And I've never done one, but they're obviously, a mega ship experience, and a river cruise is like, I don't know, like a mansion, and then just like this small little, place, but it's also very comfortable, and it's got what you need, but it doesn't have anything you don't, I would guess. I haven't done it, Pam. So walk us through what a river cruise through Europe is like. That's gotta be fun.
This to me, I remember when we were first starting to consider this idea of doing this river cruise, and we had to fly into Budapest, and I remember saying to Steve, "Do people go to Budapest for vacation?" Like, I'm not sure.
I do.
You got, like you're flying into Budapest.
I remember when you were like, "Yeah, I'm flying into Budapest." I'm like, "You're going where?"
Right?
We got an opening on the podcast.
Yes, right. I'm like having not nightmares, but I was kind of like, okay, we're going to Budapest. That's what we're doing. Okay, this is where we're going to start our luxury river cruise vacation, right?
Exactly. That sounds so luxurious.
I know, right? But the thing about a river cruise is they are so much smaller. So we're talking about 200 people really on your ship, and it's a different experience than an ocean cruise for so many reasons. First of all, the staterooms are different, and Adventures by Disney partnered with Alma Waterways, which is really a leader in terms of having a luxury river cruise adventure. And that's important because Disney really does, they make partnerships with some of the best in the industry, and that's a cool part of it. But the great thing about a river cruise in particular is we went from Budapest and we ended up in Germany, and, we're in different countries and got to experience all these incredible things. And Budapest was one of my favorites. I mean, being able to look at the Parliament building at night. I post that picture on Instagram every now and then because it's just one of the coolest things I've ever got to do. It's just that cool. But if you tried to do that on a land tour, here's what your day is going to look like. A lot of like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to get in the car. We're going to drive to the next country. We're going to sleep. We're going to get up. We're going to repack. We're going to do something there. Then we're going to drive to the next country. The great thing about a river cruise is like an ocean cruise. You get on board and you're in that stateroom throughout your duration. In fact, most of the time they're doing a lot of the cruising at night when you're sleeping, and you sort of wake up in a new location. That to me is a very cool experience. But the other part of it that was really cool is, unlike being out in the ocean, where definitely sitting on your balcony and gazing at the open sea is awesome, you are so much closer to these little villages and stuff that you're sailing by. I mean, that's a very cool thing that you can see off of both sides of the ship, and you're just sailing into what literally looks like a real life fairy tale there in Europe. And that's a cool thing too. And the great thing about river cruising is that, first of all, almost everything's included in a river cruise. Your excursions when you get off the ship each day, they're included. Your wine and beer during meals, that's included. You have these great meals available to you each day too. That's included. So the river cruise thing is a very interesting experience. And another reason why Adventures by Disney is doing it so well is they're actually, once again, making this something that's accessible to the whole family. Prior to Adventures by Disney and Alma kind of doing it, again, this was something that it maybe didn't appeal to young people with families. It was maybe for an older crowd or those who didn't have young children at home. This has made it, again, more accessible to everyone. So.
Yeah, that's the big thing too. It's just the slower pace that I would experience, that I would expect. And then being so close to, sailing by, and you're actually seeing life happen through Europe, instead of just, because there's some, the ocean's beautiful and everything, but it doesn't change. I'd imagine like every 10, 15 minutes, it's ever changing, and you're seeing a snapshot of life in Europe.
We saw everything from beautiful little towns on the river that had like these stately churches, or an awesome like center town clock that was going off as we went through, to people let's say bathing in Europe. And I was like, oh, okay, yes they are. Hi, how are you?
So
nice to see you.
Nice to kind of see you.
Just bombs. We just saw bombs. So. That's it. But yes,
show all this time. Never going to change it. Yeah. Little bomb. No, okay. So we've talked about, you can go domestically, you can go internationally, you can go by land, you can go by river. You have all these options. You can add on to your ocean going Disney cruise. Lots of options. So where would you have people go to check out information? And more importantly, are there ways to save some money on this as we kind of wrap today's show?
Yeah, there are. So you can stop by the Magic for Less Travel and we can start the process there for us. If you don't know exactly what you want to do, or you have an idea of there's a couple that appeal to you, we can help you narrow that down and get you some real pricing and things like that. But like Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney sorta is priced on the same tier. Like as the adventures fill up, the price increases, and the availability is just not there as much. So the best time to book is soon after the itineraries are released. So 2021 itineraries are out there, and they actually have an early booking savings like per person. It's only through the end of August. We don't know if that will be extended, but right now is sort of a great time to take advantage of this, because they have a flexible cancellation policy that's happening right now. And what that means is that everything booked for future trips through the end of September 2020 will be subject to fully refundable deposits up until your final payment date. And that's not typically how these kind of vacations work. Typically, you pay the deposit and it's non-refundable, or refundable only as a credit towards another one or something like that. So again, this is something that you can sort of feel safe planning right now and know that you'll get your money back regardless of what will happen there. And I will say too, and Mike can attest to this, anytime we've had to cancel an Adventures by Disney vacation, or Disney had to cancel because of COVID, they've been awesome to work with in terms of our guests. So they're a stand-up company, and they're going to do everything that they can to make things go well. So.
All right. So a lot to look at, and a lot to, you know what, we've said this has kind of been the mantra for the Magic for Less, because obviously we're all passionate about travel, and that's what we do for a living. And the thing is, we've said this many times, especially say in spring and in early summer, was, dream now, travel later was kind of our mantra there for a little bit, and now travel later if you can't get out there, because right now we know things are up in the air, but there's really not a risk, book that adventure, have something to look forward to, and let's hope for the best in 2021. And chances are you'll get out there and have maybe the best vacation of your life. I think, coming out of this is the time to do that blowout vacation. I think we all deserve it. We've been locked down.
That's what I was going to say. We all deserve it at this point.
This isn't the time to go down the street to Six Flags. This is time to get out there and see the world and get the opportunity, right?
Right. I know. And I'll share, just to wrap up, I'll share one of the stories that I always tell when I'm talking about Adventures by Disney. And I've probably told on the podcast before, but it was on episode 300 and whatever. And now we're up to 700 and some. But one of our agents had gone on one of the first Adventures by Disney trips that was offered, and had, he shares the story, and it's something that I love to share too, just to sort of tell you how this travel, sort of becomes part of your story too. He was on an Adventures by Disney trip, and there was, this wrap up at the end where they're all talking about this. And this was a kid, he said, that, had the opportunity to sort of interact with other kids being there. A single mom had brought along her daughter, and she enjoyed having that time there. And they were going around at the end and asking everyone what they enjoyed the most. And you hear all kinds of awesome things. And this little girl, who was, I think, preteen in age, said that the thing that she enjoyed the most was getting to know her mom more on the Adventures by, right? If that doesn't pull at your heartstrings, I don't know what does. But I just thought that's such a great example of the different things that travel can bring to your life. And the fact that kids are that insightful, that they get to hear that they get to pull that out and say, the thing that they enjoyed the most was getting to know her mom better. I mean, that's heartwarming, and you can't pay for something like that. It's just, it's part of what you get through this whole travel experience. And I think there are few companies in the world that do it as well as Disney does. And it's something that like I said, I'm at the very beginning, I'm passionate about it. So just because what I know it will bring to your life.
All right. Well, that's it. So if you want to check out more information, drop by themagicforless.com. Not going to do the ad read at the end because we talked about it all day. But really, it's one of those things that, now is the time to maybe, give it a shot and at least explore it. Because like I said, I want to go out west, but not, now that it's, knowledge kind of gets you, because now if I decide to drive out there, in the old Trailblazer or whatever, it's not going to be the same now that I know. So just check it out. Drop out the Magic for Less. There's a tab there for Adventures by Disney, and just explore. And while you're there, fill out a quote form. We'll get you some availability, get some dates that are open, maybe some dates that are adult only, because they have different, some adventures have both, a family one, adults only. Get you some initial pricing, get you in on that savings, if we can here before the end of August. We're just going to take good care of you. So check it out today and, see the world, see the United States, see the Danube River, Rome. What do you got? See everything. So check it out today over at themagicforless.com. Don't forget, you can support the show with our Amazon affiliate link, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And you can become a patron of the show, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast for extra content each and every day. So if, 4 times a week isn't enough, we'll go there. Also, Discord. I didn't know what it meant 2 weeks ago either. You're looking at me like, Mike, what's Discord? I just learned. We got smart listeners. It's like a virtual chat that goes 24/7 with listeners all around the world. I was looking at it during the show. Jenny from Australia is in there. She said good morning. She confused me because we're recording. I'm getting ready to go have dinner. But that's what it is. It's a live chat with all of our listeners. So if you want to talk to somebody, hey, that'd be a great spot to connect with somebody, talk about Adventures by Disney. I'm sure I know a lot of our listeners have done these adventures. Give feedback. What did you like? Where did you go? What was it like? Tell us about the tour guides, the everything. Tell us about what you got to do culturally in those locations. Great place to connect. So check it out. The link is in our Facebook page and over at beourguestpodcast.com. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at beourguestmike, at beourguestpod, and of course, look for the Be Our Guest Podcast on Facebook and YouTube as well. All right, time to get out of here. Let you get on with your weekend. We'll be back again on Monday with another great trip report. This is going to be a fun one. We're talking with a high school senior about going down to Walt Disney World on an unexpected trip. It's a really cool perspective. Great guest, and you're going to love this one coming up on Monday. So until Sunday night, don't forget, join us for the live call-in show as well, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook and YouTube. Give us a call. We love talking Disney. All right, time to get out of here. Let's have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy. So for Pam and Ricky, I'm Mike. Have a good one. We'll see you real soon. Boom. Good stuff. That was fun.
Good. I'm glad.
We hit all the points. I mean, we got it all in there, I think.
I think so. It was good. I think that it, look, I none of this is whatever. I am totally passionate about Adventures by Disney. I would like everyone to go on one. I think those experiences are awesome. So
I want to go. I just want to go somewhere.
I know.
But I mean, I totally agree. If it's time, once we get out of this, man, it's time to do the trip you've been dreaming of. Because
it is. I totally agree. Like no more waiting. That's what it is. So I will be able to record next Monday. I'll just record from there. So I'm going to take my headphone and laptop. I know.
Look at you. Look at on location.
No. So I am going to be working. I'm just going to be working from there. So
yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Okay. I'm going to get out of here so I can edit these things and go grab some dinner. So
awesome, people.
Thanks for being here.
All right. See you guys.
See you later.
Get on that Discord, Pam, and check it out. It's pretty cool. It is. It's a time, but it's pretty cool.
So then there's a specific Discord for our group.
There's 3. Okay, so I made one for the podcast as a whole. I just made that one right before the show started.
Be Our Guest.
There's one for the lizards, and there's one for the patrons. I'll throw you in all 3. I'll give you the link to all, so you can be in all 3.
All right, awesome.
It's like a little tab thing. I'm still learning how to use